सर गुड मॉर्निंग सर। ब्रिज कोर्स मैकेनिकल का आपका ही है?
हाँ, ब्रिज कोर्स मेरा ही है।
ओके सर, ओके ओके सर, यू आर को होस्ट नाउ।
ठीक है, ठीक है भैया। विमलेश बेटा, ये अभी जो सर हैं मोहम्मद शोएब सर, वो कब तक ज्वाइन करेंगे? उनको कॉल किया है क्या?
सर उनसे ही बात चल रही है मेरी, ही इज अबाउट टू ज्वाइन।
ओके।
mechanical dolls. These dolls were developed somewhere around mid 70s, and the scientists and engineers of that time, they developed. Of course, it was not in the line of intention was not for the robot, but it automatically it was in the line of the robot, where the mechanical system, when we talk about the industry 2.0, so they may lie under those category. And these dolls were totally mechanical dolls. Several other mechanical machines were developed at that time, and they were totally working on the mechanical systems. Especially the mechanical doll was developed for drawing the for making the different drawings. If you just go through the human progress curve, you will find the different stages of growth. After the Stone Age, you can see the age of the industry 1.0, industry 2.0, industry 3.0, and industry 4.0. And you see here these phases are shown with the different colors. So the development in the field of the robotics and development in the field of computer, development in the field of the CNC machine, or any such development, they were in the parallel race. And one of the work which was being done by one of the scientists was used by the other. So when you go through the history of the computers, or the history of the robotics, or the history of the CNC machine, you will find several things common. Several things which are common there. In this race, you will find that somewhere in 1959, first commercial robot was introduced by Planet Corporation. And thereafter, other players came into the market one by one. You see 1961, 1973, Kawasaki came, then Sigma robots, Puma robots, and in 80s, IBM came into the market, and then Honda and other players. But one of the very major drawback with the robot or the robotics, that these players who came in the robot market, they keep their monopoly, and their monopoly is such that even today they are holding full-fledged monopoly. I mean, there are very few number of the players who are developing the robots for a particular type of the job, and for that robot they have their own monopoly. No one can come in their technology. If something goes wrong, you will have to be dependent on them. It is not like the computer. For example, you are taking a computer from somewhere and something goes wrong, you need not to depend always on if the computer is dead, you need not to go always dead. You can go any person and he will do the needful whatsoever the requirement is there. But in case, similarly, in the case of the other machines which is there, but especially in case of the robotics, and even also in the somewhat in CNC machines, this monopoly they are holding, that whatsoever the technology they have, they are not giving the others the codes, they are not giving the code to the others, and those players are standing with their product in the market. N number of the robots came into the market, and day by day there is a development in this area, in the area of the robotics. You must be knowing that Sophia was launched in 2016. So Sophia was launched in 2016, And thereafter, day by day, further modifications have updated, been come in the Sophia. And today, where we are standing is the automation industry and humanoid robot. Interface of the industry automation and humanoid robot, and this is going to come into in a new era. This is going to bring a new era, and that what we say, the industry 4.0 onwards. These robots are available, have already this Asimo robot was there in the Ashoka Hotel. You will be knowing this. Sara, it's a theater dancer of Korea. In a theater, it is being used as a dancer. And in the race of the robotics, the whatever the latest technology or ultimate thing which the robotic engineers have developed is the Sophia. Here, if you, in our country, also the different players have developed the different type of the robots. Regarding the Sophia, you see here So as far as the Sophia is concerned, this is the ultimate technology which has been developed in the field of the robotics. And you will be knowing that Sophia has also visited the India. She came IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad. You can see all these videos are available on the net. Now coming to the somewhat specific to our area, engineers. All I assume that most of you are the here engineers. So engineers are the people who design, construct, and maintain the structure, materials, system while considering the limitations imposed by practicality, regulations, safety, and cost. One of the important factors or considerations whenever you are developing or designing any system, cost is one of the very important criteria for the engineers. Any product, if it is not economically justifiable, there is no use. You can't launch it in the market. Similarly, in the case of the robots also, of course, the humanoid robots are there. Of course, these automated guided vehicles are there. When we talk about the industries, which type of the robots we need, and so that it may become the cost effective also. As per the definition, the standard definition given by the RIA, Robot Institute of America, a robot is a reprogrammable multifunctional manipulator designed to move material, part, tools, or special devices through variable program motion for the performance of variety of tasks. From this definition, you see any machine which is going to satisfy this definition will come under the heading of the robots. And this definition is given for the industrial robots, especially. So here on the right side, you see it's an industrial robot. It is not like the Sophia. It is not like the Sarah. It is not like but it is some looking like some links are connected with some joints, something like that. So why we do this? Why we do this? You see, in the human body, the most important component is, answer will be the brain. Of course, the brain is there, but if the brain is there but no hand is there, what is the use of the brain? You can see only the things. So it's a standard practice. Engineers, doctors, or whatever the different professionals are there, they are doing the work by their hand. So as an engineer, we identify the most important component in the human body is hand. So similarly, in case of the robot also. So why not to have only the hand? So engineers talk about the robotic hand only. And we say this as an industrial robot. So industrial robot is a robot manipulator or robotic hand. Yes, of course. In this robot, one thing will be a mechanical arm, other will be a controller, which is the brain. Brain is required. Sensors will be there. Some communication system will be there. And in last, the grippers. At the end, the grippers will be there and power supply. These are the elements of the industrial robot. Rather than having full-fledged humanoid robot, this system, which is the cost-effective system, is generally used in the industries, and we say them as the industrial robot. Most of the time, it happens that the people from the sociology or the social sciences background, they come in the robotics lab and they used to ask us where is the robot, and they used to stand adjacent to the robot because they have a concept of the robot, that robot will be having a head, robot will be having 2 legs, robot will be having the 2 hands. But industrial robots are the robotic manipulators. They are the robotic hand having these elements. And this is one of the way we use in the industries these type of the robots, especially in the manufacturing sector. So these industrial robots, when we talk about the industrial robots, two major parts, body arm and the wrist assembly. In your hand also, in your hand, you see in your hand the two major things. One is the body arm and other is the wrist assembly. Similarly, the case in the industrial robot, they have their own importance. Body arm is having own importance and wrist assembly is having its own importance. We used to select the different body arms. We used to develop the different body arms. We used to design the different body arms for the different applications. And we go for the different wrist assembly for the different applications. Body arm basically define the position in the space, and wrist assembly is specifically where the object is. The common body arm configuration, you must be knowing that you would have gone through, and you would have seen in the books that polar coordinate configuration, cylindrical coordinate configuration, Cartesian coordinate, jointed arm, and SCARA configurations. These are the standard robot configurations for the body arm. For the body arm, these are the standard configurations. And we achieve these configuration with the special joints. These joints play a very important role in achieving these configurations. We don't have the time to discuss these joints, but these are the joints which is a very important thing in the area of the robotics for designing their configurations. On the basis of the joint, we used to denote the different robots. Rotation, for example, polar coordinate, generally we say TRL. And the work envelope, the zone in which the robot can work, is known as the work envelope. For the polar coordinate, we get a sphere in case of the polar coordinate. And the two important things, the reach and stroke, which are related up to what extent these arm can work in a horizontal direction or in a vertical direction. Accordingly, the horizontal reach and vertical reach are there. Similarly, the cylindrical coordinate robots, TLO, we get a cylinder in case of the cylindrical coordinate robot for the work envelope. Cartesian coordinate robots, of course, all the joints have the Cartesian motion, where you will be getting a cuboid as a work envelope. The most commonly and versatile type of the robot is the jointed arm, also known as the articulated arm, where all the joints are the rotary joints. All the joints are the rotary joints. Of course, the base is the twisting. So here the work envelope is the semi-sphere. Then the last is the special purpose robot known as the selective compliance assembly robot, which is the combination of, you can say, the cylindrical arm and articulated arm. Cylindrical arm and articulated arm, and even today it is used in the different assembly lines. Now coming to the wrist configuration. At the wrist, as you see your wrist, one of the very first feature in the wrist, the gyroscopic motion, roll, pitch, yaw. This is this motion, pitching. This motion is pitching, and this motion is yaw. this motion is ya, and this is roll. So at the rest end, we have 3 joints. So one of the thing which is to be kept here in the mind, that generally we have the 3 degrees of freedom in the body arm, and 3 degrees of freedom we have at the rest end. Rest end, you see here in the wrist configuration, which is at the end, we have the 3 degrees of freedom. We are not talking about the fingers. So generally there are 6 degrees of freedom for a robot. Generally there are the 6 degrees of freedom for the robot. 3 for the wrist and 3 for the body arm. However, further the degrees of freedom are there that are going to depend which type of the end effector you are going to use. At the end point, here you see, at the end point, you can mount some tool there, or you can mount some gripper there. In case of the tool, most of the time there is no degree of freedom. So it will be total degree of freedom of the robot will be the 6. And if it will be a gripper, then degrees of freedom will vary. And here you see that as far as again the cost is the issue. So in the industries, depending upon the different applications, we decide whether we are going to use the tool, whether we are going to use the gripper. If we can work with the tool, we are not going for the gripper. But there are the situations that a tool will not work. We will have to go for some grippers. Then in that case, again, we will try to go. Means if you talk about the gripper, there may be the 2-finger gripper, there may be the 3-finger gripper, there may be the 4-finger gripper, because human hand, which has the 5 fingers, and you can see the degrees of freedom for the human hand are the 36 degrees of freedom. However, the robots which you see in here, they have the 6 degrees of freedom. Now, if you are going to increase the degree of freedom for the robot, it means that you are going to increase the number of the actuators, and the number of the actuators are going to increase. Cost of the robot will increase. Complications, control of the robot will become very complicated. So that's why the robots, the hands which have this area is one of the very important area of the robotics, grippers, because we are talking about to replace the robots, replace the humans by robots. And when you are going to replace the humans by robots, means its flexibility and dexterity of the hand should be same as the humans. But the humans have the 5-finger, having 36 degree of freedom hand. But the robotics hand, which have been developed till now, they have the maximum 16 to 17 degrees of freedom. And there is a difference between these 20 to 20 degrees of freedom from the human hand to the robotic hand. So that's why you cannot use everywhere the robot. We have a lot of articulation is required, a lot of fine manipulation is required. Ultimately, we are depending on the human technicians or the human labor, human staff as a human being, not the robots. So that's why this area of the multi-finger gripper has become one of the challenging issue for the scientists and engineers in the field of the robotics, that how to develop a gripper which can replace the human hand. Unfortunately, even today, if you go to AIIMS, unfortunately, someone is going to lose his hand and he is going to the doctor for replacing his hand. So if you because the cost effective issues are coming, the hands which we are giving at the rehabilitation department at the AIMS, costing 5,000 rupees. You can see very simple hand, which is just like looking like the hand, but it cannot do the works. Very limited number of the operations you can do with that hand. Yes, of course, there are the hands, their cost is too much. And if you are going to invest that much of the cost, then you can get the hand. Even they have n number of the limitations. It is not like the human hand. So these multi-finger robotic grippers, multi-finger robotic hand is one of the very challenging area for the scientists and engineers, especially in the area of the robotics, that how to develop such a hand which can replace the human hands. You see, in the industries, आ रही है? इसको ज्वाइन कर दो, इस पे तो हमें दिखता रहे। So you've seen here the different type of the grippers which are being used in the industries. The cost of the multi-finger grippers is high, and so they are being used for the high-end manufacturing application. Now coming to the specifications of the robot as per the definition, as we defined the robots, that a robot is a reprogrammable multifunction manipulator designed to move material part, tools, or special devices through variable program motion for the performance of variety of tasks. So on the basis of this definition, there are three types of the specifications which are required for the robots. They may be the physical characteristics or the specification, performance characteristics for performance characteristics, and the general characteristics. And these characteristics are important from the point of view whenever you are going to purchase or design a robot for any particular type of application. If you talk about the physical properties or the physical characteristics, so what is robot configuration, what we discuss, then the number of axes, that is degrees of freedom of the robot, type of axis movement, what is the floor space required, then the physical details, weight and the physical dimensions, type of the power service requirement, which type of the programming is there, control system, sensors, memory. All these are comes under the heading of the physical characteristics. Then if you talk about the performance characteristics, accuracy, repeatability, resolution, velocity range, operating cycle time, load carrying capacity, life expectancy, reliability, maintainability, mean time between the failure, mean time to failure, availability. All these are the characteristics or the specifications which are related to the performance of any particular robot. Then these are the some general and the common characteristics: movement capability, input output capabilities, special feature and effector capabilities, work volume or envelope reach. So these are the general characteristics. So it's important here that whenever you are going to use, design, develop, propose a robot, you must have the idea of the specifications and exactly what is requirement and which particular specification you need up to which level. Accordingly, the cost of the robot will vary. Accordingly, the cost of the robot will vary. You see a standard educational robot, ER4U. What you see here, ultimately, when we have been discussing the industrial robot, it is just some structure where one end is fixed and other end is free. However, there are the links which are jointed or connected with each other by some type of the mechanism. And if you remember, this is nothing but the kinematic chain, open kinematic chain, what we studied in theory of machine. In theory of machine or the kinematics of machine, if you remember, their kinematic chains, open kinematic chain. So industrial manipulator, industrial arm is nothing but an open kinematic chain where one end is fixed and other end is free. So from the kinematic point of view, it is very important to know the inverse and forward kinematics of the robot. Inverse and forward kinematics of the robot. For that, we go different type of the analysis. We will not go in full detail for the forward and inverse kinematic detail. A lot of mathematical treatment is there. However, we treat as the open kinematic chain. One end is fixed, other end is free, and we put the different coordinate frames on the different links, and whatsoever the coordinates which are there at the last link, we transform those coordinates with reference to the base coordinate. So we can get the position and orientation of the last link, which is our interest, primary interest. We always, in case of the industrial robot or robotic manipulator, we try to analyze the position and orientation of the last link, because in the industry, ultimately this is the end effector or the gripper which is going to pick a object or put a object or place it somewhere or hold taking it from somewhere. So position and orientation of the last link is our primary interest. What we do in case of the kinematics, the standard homogeneous transformation is used for this job, and you must be knowing this standard transformation matrix. And with the help of this matrix, Dynamite Hartnerberg is one of the standard procedure or some mathematician who gave a procedure, and with this we develop a matrix by a matrix Ti minus 1 to I, which is used for transforming the coordinate between the link I minus 1 to 1. For example, if I is equal to 0, if I is equal to 1, so it will be from the, it will be from the 0 to 1, or similarly 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, up to n number of the link, whatever the links are available. And this is standard matrix which is used for forward and inverse kinematic. These are the link parameters, Vi, link length, and phi, angle, link twist we say, and Di offset, link offset, and theta is joint angles. So these, we analyze these 4 parameters and we apply this DH matrix, and we can go for the forward or inverse kinematics. As a standard practice, the forward kinematics for a given joint angles and link parameters, determination of the position and orientation is the forward kinematics. For a given joint angles and link parameter, determination of the position and orientation is known as the forward kinematics. And opposite to this, for a given position and orientation and link parameter, determination of the joint angles is known as the inverse kinematic. For a given position and orientation, and for the link parameters given by the manufacturer, apply the inverse kinematic, you will get the joint angles. So from the industry point of view, when we go in the industry, we always need the inverse kinematic of the robots. Why? Because whenever we are programming for any job, you need to joint angle. Which joint has to move what? Angle. And that angle we determine with the help of the inverse kinematic. Why? Because the position and orientation is always known. Position of the object in a milling machine, milling voice is known. Coordinates are known. With reference to that coordinate, what joint angles are required for the robot, or position of the object in a lathe chuck is known. In a lathe chuck, coordinates are known. What joint angles are required to send the object, to put the object in the lathe chuck, or to take out the object from the lathe chuck? You need the joint angles. So inverse kinematic is more important as compared to the forward kinematics. And whenever we use the robots in the industry, we have to program them, and for programming, we need the joint angle, and joint angle we determine with the help of the inverse kinematics. So as a concept, that where is my hand answer will be given by the direct kinematics. And how to send the hand, that answer will be given by inverse kinematic. So now coming to again somewhat more specifics, or focusing towards Girpers, rather than talking the other thing, come to the Girpers. See here, in a multi-finger Girper, grasping objects, grasping process. Here sometimes question arises, how many fingers are required for holding the objects, so that the it should be in equilibrium, so that it should be in dynamic equilibrium. Most of the time, as far as tools are concerned, tools are you can say single finger, or with 0 degree of freedom, single finger. When you go for the 2 finger, so most of the time you will see, or you would have seen in the last video, last video, that parallel jaw 2 finger robotic Girpers are very common. But when the object shape is not regular, in that case we have to depend on the multi-finger Girpers. So over the last 2-3 decades, multi-finger grasping has shown somewhat marginal topic to an important field of robotic research. This increasing interest in the robotic grasping is partly due to the evaluation of the industrial automation towards flexible automation. And the end effector becomes a more flexible, control becomes a more complex, and better understanding of grasping turns out to be one of the challenging issue. Because how to hold the object in a proper way. Body arm is okay, wrist is okay, tools are okay, grippers are okay, but such a gripper which can hold the objects where it should be with the proper holding characteristics, which is dexterity, equilibrium, stability. So developing these type of the finger is one of the challenging issue for the researchers. And if you refer the literature, you will find that people have been working from the years and year, even today. Proper grippers have not been developed. And that's why the degree of freedom is 16 and 17. The design issues which are related to the multi-finger grippers are dexterity, articulity, mode of actuation, and degree of freedom. These are some common issues which we have to achieve in a versatile gripper. Lot of people have been working in this area, and if you go and refer in the literature, you will find several hands have been developed. But issues are there. Issues are there with reference to the parameter, these parameters: dexterity, articulity, mode of actuation, degree of freedom. Either you take the Okada hand or you take the Stanford or MIT hand. All these hands, you can see the number of actuations, degree of freedom. It's varying. And they are not able to reach up to the human hands. Whatsoever the hand which have been developed, they are being used in the robots of their existing capabilities, This is looking like the human hand, but it is not having all the capabilities of the human hand. This hand is looking, of course, looking like the human hand, but it don't have the capabilities. The degrees of freedom are of not that. So, even in this area, developing the hand which can replace the human hand is one of the challenging issue. And myself, I am also working in this area. I will be showing some of my work in the next slides. Before going to that, I would like to discuss I think the slide is not working. Now come to then the continuation to that whatever the things which are going with the what you see in the Sophia, and further developments which are happening in the Sophia day by day, things which are, we say, the industry 4.0, you must be knowing, or industry 4.0. with the application of the artificial intelligence in all aspect of the life, which is coming very soon. So the issues are related that what about the humanity? As there has been the changes in the industry from 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 onwards, were continuously going on further. Even it's a 4.0, but further things people are talking about 5.0, 7.0, etc. What about the humanity? There are the challenges with the humanity. How the humanity will adjust with the fast growth of the industry, because the artificial intelligence systems which are coming. So you have Sophia is one of the thing which you seen here, and now onwards the interaction of the Sophia with the social systems, or machines like Sophia with the social systems. So there are the issues with the humanity. And the zone in which we are working, and very soon the further implementation, when we are going to implement the industry 4.0 and further its further versions. What about the humanity? And in fact, as an engineer or the scientist, we are not thinking about it, but the these people from the social science background, or the people who are working in this area, they are thinking that the industry 4.0 will be having the following issues with the humanity 4.0. These issues, how it will be managed? If you talk about the humanity or the humans, they used to do these things. But what about the machines which are coming, whether they will be giving these values or not? It is one of the very big challenge, because scientists or engineers have to think about it, and yet they are busy in the technology, and things are going in that direction. But this aspect of interaction of the humanity 4.0 with the industry 4.0 are the issues, and the common issues which will be that further coming, that job creation versus job destruction, definition of education per person, definition of the human being. These are the things, either they have to be changed or we have to stop it somewhere. So this is one of the area where the things are going to divert very soon. I will not further continue in this area because this is not the topic here. However, this is one of the very interesting area and it needs a lot of discussion. As I told you that multi-finger hand, I have done some work in this area, and this hand we gave the name Jamia hand we developed. This hand is designed in the Robotics and Automation Laboratory, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Jamia Islamia. It consists of the 3 fingers, a thumb designated to intimate the anatomy of the human hand. 3 fingers and 1 thumb, so total 4 fingers, not the 5 fingers. As I told you that number of the fingers in the human hand are the 5. However, if you see works which you do with the help of the 2 fingers, you can do the work with the 2 fingers, but whenever you are going to hold the object with the 2 fingers, it will not be stable. It will not be stable. For stability or proper grasping of any object, minimum number of the fingers are required 3. Minimum number of the fingers are required 3. But you can see here, for example, I am holding this pen. If I am holding by, let us say this mobile, if I am holding this mobile with the 2 finger, stability is not there. Stability is not there. So for getting stable grasp, minimum number of the fingers 3 are required. You see here. Now it will be totally in our control. No slippage is there. But even now we have the problem of manipulation. If we want to turn it, turning with the 3 finger will be a problem. So for turning, one more finger is required. If 4 fingers are there, you can easily manipulate it also. Manipulation is possible with the 4 finger. So it seems that a human hand needs 4 fingers. Then why the 5th finger is there? A lot of work is there in that area, but there is no proper justification. And we assume that God has given this 5th finger just as a reserve, because the fingers are very important for the hand. And if one is going to lose, someone is going to lose one of the finger, then 5th one will be used. Or you can say for the firm grasping, it may be used, but 4 fingers are sufficient for grasping and manipulation, for manipulating any job. So that's why we develop this hand of the 4 finger, not the 5 finger. Each finger and one thumb has one actuator for joint movement, as in the finger hand. You can see here in the in between the joints are there, and here in the hand we have the motion. Or we at least on one joint you need one actuator, and for that you need the control. This gripper which we propose here in our laboratory is a tendon Derwin. So one tendon which is passing from very first joint to all them, and ultimately it is going to back. You see here. This type of the actuation is there. This mechanical hand used an end effector robotic arm is primarily composed of the 4 components, namely joint and links, actuation system, transmission system, and sensors. As far as degrees of freedom are concerned, so on one finger we have the 3 degrees of freedom. However, in the thumb we have the 2 degrees of freedom. So total degrees of freedom will be the 11 degrees of freedom for this hand. You can see here the links and the flanges, and how the tendon is passing. On these joints, where the flange 1 is connected with the flange 2, and flange 2 is connected with the flange 3, we have a pulley system. And at the same time, torsional springs are also there. So inward motion we will be achieving with the help of applying the force, and outward motion will be automatically with the help of the springs. So these springs, at the distal most joint we have the 1 spring, then the middle and proximal flange we have the 2 spring, and the proximal flange and the base we have the 4 spring. So these torsional spring will work for reverting the hand in its original position. However, for inward motion, we will be using the tendon force. See, this is the isometric views where you can visualize the holding different objects. Regarding its force, and some studies come to, we have shortage of time. Force analysis using standard design equations. You can go for its force analysis. We have done this force analysis using the standard T1 upon T2 thus for mu theta, because belt pulley system will be considered as here, starting from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and then 5 to 6, and 6 to 7, 7 to 8 last. So in this way, you can calculate the tensions, and these further it is verified numerically as well as experimentally both. So we took the different type of the objects. We took the hexagonal, cylindrical, and rectangular objects, the rectangular prism with the wood, GI sheets, and thermocol. And experiment, we perform the experiment here. You see here these results are very much what we got, the numerical or experimental results. They were validated for this simple study. And then we also did the kinematic analysis. We also did the kinematic analysis, and here it's a modeling. Then finally simulation was run in the MATLAB. So as far as from the analysis aspect, you see here that for the ring finger, middle finger, and the index finger, we have same type of the kinematics. Three joints are there. However, for the thumb, we have the little bit different kinematics. That is 2 joints only. So you can take the analysis for the 1 finger and thumb. That will be sufficient. The same analysis will be for all these 3 fingers. This mechanism what we discussed before. So here it is shown for the kinematic model of the finger, and it is shown here the kinematic model of the thumb. And as we discussed the DH parameter in the inverse kinematics and forward kinematics, if you remember, so you can write the DH parameters for the thumb and DH parameters for the fingers. These parameters are taken manually with the measurements. With the help of the measurements, these parameters were taken, and we applied that standard matrix. If you remember that matrix, 4x4 matrix, DH matrix, you apply this matrix between the link I to I minus 1, and you can solve it, this solution. And if you run the plot, then you will find that plots for the finger and the plots for the thumb both are in coordination as per the physical visualization. This whatever the kinematical equations we are getting, this result is going to get validated. And further, the inverse kinematic, you can it has been with the help of the geometrical parameters, different joint angles for the fingers and the thumbs can be determined, and it has been shown here. And then workspace analysis has also been done for the fingers as well as for the thumb also, workspace analysis, and for the thumbs also. So these are the different studies which we are doing on this hand, and we design and development was the first phase. Then the kinematic studies and different type of simulation was the second phase, and the third phase dynamic modeling is going on, dynamic and control. So here in the next phase, dynamics and control work which is in progress. Fortunately, we got some grant from the ICT also for extending this work and realizing the model. And I hope that in the next 2 years, we will put it in the market in one form. We also have collaborated with the AIMS in this regard, that how if anyhow we can reduce its weight, then they are ready to take this technology. So a lot of work is there. I have not included it here. I will be, as far as these applications of the multi-finger robotic grippers are concerned, that mostly that of course in manufacturing sectors it is due, rehabilitation, yet it is due. Humanoid robots and other human applications. The applications which are there today in the market, they are very limited type of the applications are being there. So the research areas related with the multi-finger grippers and the robotics, where you can plan or research can be extended in the area of the arm modeling and simulation is there, arm kinematics is there, arm dynamics is there, arm trajectory, arm control, artificial intelligence, robotic vision, multi-finger dexterous grippers, then applications of the multi-finger grippers, especially for the FMS and the SIM area. You can see here that these general capabilities, interfacing capabilities for all the controllers which is there in the robot, with the help of that they can be used for the different applications. For example, the robotic surgery, which is already being used, and as such, if we implement the robotic surgery, doctor sitting at any other place, for example, one expert doctor is there, it's not available in that place, he can operate the patient from the other place with the help. In fact, operation will be done by the doctor, but it will be a machine with the help of the robots. Because of several reasons, there are multiple reasons why the people even not going for the robotic surgery. That is one of the fear and hesitation is there. However, this technology has been tested fully and being used. Here there is a high-end grippers are required, and if you would have seen the surgeons during the operations, how fast they articulate their hands, that feature is lacking in little bit in the robotic grippers. So that's why multiple robots are used, rather than one robot is having one type of the gripper features, other robot is having the other type of the gripper features. During the operation, if you would have seen, junior doctors are standing with the tools, and doctor is just taking the tools from the back side with very fast speed, one by one. Here the situation is that multiple robots will be there, and one tool will be one robot and other tool will be the other robot. However, as per the regulations, now it has become mandatory that one or two doctors must be there in the room. Without doctors, operation will not be there. However, actual doctor may be at some other or remote place. So we are expecting this technology very soon, and especially in the surgery, that it will become widely used. Of course, this one of the application, that application Pathfinder. And finally, the Sophia. So whatever the applications we have discussed, everywhere there is a issue of the multi-finger robotic grippers that is kept behind, and lot of scope is there for the people who want to work here. So that's all about my talk. And here little bit I will before finishing the talk, I would like to introduce you that the Robotic Society of India, especially the academicians and industry people from of the country, they thought that as such in India there is no society for the robotics. A society has been developed, and this society, the name is the Robotic Society, and the website is here, rsindia.org. You can note it and you can see the rsindia.org, the Robotic Society. In the rsindia.org, you can see here that rsindia.org, you can see here that our Shantanu Chaudhary, Professor Shantanu Chaudhary, who is presently the director of IIT Jodhpur, IIT Jodhpur, he is the director, he is the president of the society. Professor S.K. Saha from IIT Delhi, he is the vice president of the society. And myself is the treasurer of this society. Then Dr. Shanti Pal is the from the NIT Nagpur. He is the membership in charge. And Dr. Pathak from IIT Roorkee, he is the student activity in charge. And Dr. Roy, he is the R&D vice president. And our secretary, Professor Ashokan from IIT Madras, he is there. Then Dr. Sudhir is there and Dr. Lochan is there for the other response. So this society is working especially in the area of the robotic research and its implementation. Several type of the policies which the government want to implement. Lot of meetings in this regard have been held last semester, that especially the Ministry of Science and Technology, what should be the path of robotics in the academics as well as in the industry for our country. That a proper guideline has also been found. Very soon it will come. So as such, basic objectives of the society to promote the teaching, training and the research related to the robotics in the country, encourage the interaction between the robotics, research in India, academics and R&D and industry, hold the joint workshop, conferences at the national level, associate with the organization involved with the robotics, other bodies like IEEE, ASME, and different type of the publications. So we invite you that you join this society. There are different type of the memberships are there. So as a faculty member, you can take its life membership. Membership forms are available on the society. One of the major activities which the society is doing, that advances in robotics, one of its first conference was at DRDO Pune in 2013. Second conference was 2015 at BITS Goa. Third conference was at IIT Delhi in 2017. And this fourth conference was at IIT Madras in 2019. Now we have our next conference at IIT Kanpur in 2021. So very soon its announcement will be coming, and you all are requested to come and see what is actually happening in the area of the robotics, and especially how the Robotics Society of India is contributing to the academia and industry. Different workshops are also being organized by the society, and one of the workshop will be organized by the next workshop, I think somewhere in the month of October or November, by IIT Ropar. The next workshop is due. You can refer on the IIT Ropar website. The TRS will be organizing the next workshop on the IIT Ropar. However, my details are available here. You can, if any query is related with the society or in the area of the robotics, from the especially multi-finger robotic grippers, you are most welcome. This is my research team. Because of them, I must acknowledge them. Because of them, whatsoever the work I am doing or I have done. So some of them you might be knowing them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable information. and your detailed introduction about the historical background of robotics and what are the elements of industrial robotics, how the gripper used in industry, and various the mechanism behind like DH transformation metrics, artificial intelligence, industrial robotics, human and industrial human versus industrial 4.0. This is a quite informative talk for this, and I would like to thank from our department, mechanical department, for this. And if the participant having any questions, queries, he can ask for that. Any participant who wants to ask some questions, he can ask. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for making so nice brief about the creepers. It was starting from the robotics, simple mechanical robotics to a Sophia type of industrial robotics, and it's give a quite benefit to our society. There are lots of applications going on in our artificial intelligence and robotics, like medical, as you told, medical, NASA, robotics, and the application are quite beneficial for our society. And I would like to thank you for your nice talk. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Vimlesh, please continue with this.
Thank you very much, sir. So, with your kind permission, may I conclude the session?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you everyone for joining. I invite everyone in the third and last session, which is going to commence from 2:30. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.